Morning, my West Coast peeps. Good morning, my Central peeps, my Midwest peeps, and good afternoon. Good afternoon to the East Coast, and good evening to Europe and London. Good day. It's a beautiful day today. The sun is shining. I've been out. You see, Nugget? Nugget. Good morning, Suli. You see, Nugget? I see. Good boy. Good boy, Nugget. Good boy. Y'all, I'm in love with this animal. I'm in love with all of these animals. I'm so in love. They have captured me. You know, they are really teaching me to be a better me. How, you ask? I know that's what you want to know. How is that, Kai? How is that? How is a dog and a hamster teaching you to be a better you? Well, let me tell you. Good morning, Jasmine. Good morning. Let me tell you how it's teaching me to be a better me. Yesterday, this little sucker bites me. He's constantly biting. And I have sat and said, stop, no, don't bite, don't bite, don't bite. And then yesterday I came across a group. I'm in a Facebook group, and a Facebook group on Golden Doodles, and I came across a post from one of the members that asked what she can do because her dog is constantly biting. So I thought, let me read these comments, because that's what we do. We just read the comments. So I read the comments, and there was somebody who posted a YouTube video from a dog trainer, a behaviorist, I don't know if it's all animals, but at least a dog behaviorist. And that behaviorist said you don't want the dog to stop biting. You don't want him to stop biting. Dogs bite as a part of learning their place, learning how to use their mouths. So if you tell them, no, don't bite, you're telling them, no, don't learn how to use your mouth. Don't learn what is an appropriate amount of pressure and what's not an appropriate amount of pressure. They're not biting you to hurt you. They're biting so that you can say, no, ow, 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 that hurts. And they can know, okay, so don't put that much pressure, maybe put just a little less pressure. They are constantly used, just like babies, right? Now, let me be clear. Dogs and babies are not the same. This may be my fur baby, but he is not like my baby. He is my fur baby, but he's a fur baby. A fur baby. I cannot put my baby that I birthed into a cage and only take him out to go to the bathroom and eat. I can't do that. So dogs and babies are not the same. Okay, let's be clear. Cats and babies are not the same. Don't tell me you're a parent because you have cats or dogs. That'll irritate the hell out of me. You didn't birth those. That makes you not a parent for real. Good morning, Alicia. And yes, I went to Dunkin' Donuts again. Yeah, their coffee was good. But it's just like babies that crawl around. They put everything in their mouths, right? They are learning through putting things in their mouth. So you don't want to tell the baby, don't learn that way. You want to make sure to give the baby things that are appropriate to put in their mouths. Teething rings, pacifiers, bottles. You want to give them things that are appropriate for their mouths. You don't want to tell them, no, don't explore the world through your hands and your mouth. Don't do that. You stifle the growth when you meet a person, right? So you can transfer this knowledge of how you treat the babies. You let them learn the way the babies learn. How you treat the dogs, you let them learn the way the dogs learn. So I got up this morning after having watched that video. When Nugget decided to nip at me this morning, the video taught me that I need to allow him that learning time. Now, I might need to put on some gloves because his those little puppy teeth are sharp, 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 sharp. So I need to allow that learning time. So I position myself to be prepared for the lesson, right? And I don't have to offer him and allow him to bite me all day long. I just need a couple of minutes, 5, 10 minutes, 5, 10 minutes of him being allowed to bite me and me saying, ow, 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 for him to get it. And then when it gets to be too much, I stop. Take myself away from him. Not forever. I don't hit him, punish him, kick him, put him in his crate. No, I don't do all that. I'm just like, hey, no, that hurts. You can take these lessons that we learn from delicately, sensitively dealing with the littles, the little babies, the little animals. We could take these lessons and apply them. Apply them when you get a jacked up email. Apply them when your older child irritates the mess out of you. Apply them when your husband, boyfriend, lover comes at you the wrong way, or you come at them the wrong way. Recognize who you're dealing with. Good morning, Darlene. Recognize, or afternoon. I think you're on the same time zone as me, Darlene. Good afternoon. Recognize who you are dealing with and deal with them according to who they are, according to where they are. I'm glad you washing your ASS, Karen. I'm glad you are. Good morning, Karen. Long time no see, but I've been watching you on Facebook. I always got my eye on y'all. Deal with people where they are. Don't expect them to be like you. Do you know how many times in my life my mother has said to me, or my friends have said to me, you cannot expect everybody to act the way you would act. But we can allow, right? I'm processing this as I'm working through this. Sometimes I come to the table and I already got my mind all made up and I've already decided what I'm gonna share with you, and you can agree or not agree, but I'm sharing it and this is my belief and I'm not changing it, right? Sometimes that's how it is. And then sometimes I'm working it out as I'm talking to you. Sometimes. I have people who will talk to me. Good morning, Chelsea Macadocious. I have people, first of all, let me go backwards. I love how much of my family comes to the table. I really do. I love it, love it, love it, love it. I was thinking about that yesterday as my cousin Eric came to the table, as my god sister Karen's at the table, as my daughter Chelsea is at the table, as my niece Alicia is at the table. I love how much of my family is at my tea time table. But you know what's important? I mean, you know what's interesting? Would none of them listen to me if we were actually at a tea time table? They'd be like, nah, that's the youngest of the family. Don't listen to her. But y'all all showing up to listen to me now. I love it. I love it. And those of you who are not blood related are very quickly or have already become family. So I love my family at the table. I have people who watch my interaction with the boy, watch how he comes and interrupts my tea time, and will talk to me afterwards and tell me, you need to beat that boy, or you need to whoop him, or I'm so concerned because he interrupts you, blah, 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 blah. We all have different parenting styles. And the worst thing that we can do is parent our children. Oh, and Chasmine at the table, Chasmine. You do listen to me. Yes, you do, Chasmine. You one of the few. Yes, you do. I was talking about the other niece, Alicia, who gives me a hard time. Which I love. Wouldn't be right if she didn't. We have to parent our children. We have to engage in relationships the way that it is comfortable for us, the way that meets the needs of the person we are dealing with, and not that staves off the judgment of others. I don't Ultimately, I don't care if y'all like how I parent my child. Ultimately, ultimately, I don't care. Ultimately, if you think I should be beating on my boy all the time, I think there's something wrong with you. That's what I think. If you think that every time my son comes in and interrupts me, that I'm supposed to knock him upside his head, although sometimes I want to, I won't. I think it's something wrong with you. In believing that the way you parent your child or the way you parented your child is the way that every parent should parent their child, or is the way that I should do because you know better. You don't even know my damn kid. So you don't know. Y'all didn't listen to me, Karen. Shut up with that lie. Y'all used to beat on me. You don't know my child. You don't know my situation. You don't know my relationship with my significant other. I don't have a significant other right now, but I'm giving an example here. You don't know. You can't walk in my shoes comfortably. You don't know the stress of dealing with a child who is emotionally draining for me. You don't know that stress. You don't know the difficulty that there is in lifting up someone who is always down, helping others to see who they really are. You don't know the burden of this empath. There was a time when I was younger where I would see kids acting up in the store, and I think I've said this to you guys before, but I'm going to repeat myself. I talk to you every day. I will definitely repeat myself. If I don't repeat myself, that would be like super, like master class teaching stuff, right? That would be a skill. I used to be in the grocery store or at the mall or anywhere in public and see a child acting up, and I used to be like, yeah, somebody needs to whoop that child. That child needs some discipline. And then I had my own little plate snatcher. I had my own little plate snatcher who was very difficult to deal with when he got in his little moods. And he would pitch a fit, he would throw a tantrum, and he would be that child that I would have been saying somebody needs to beat. And I realized in that moment that if I beat my child, for every time he pushed my limits, I would be beating him all day long. Is it that I need to change my limits? Or is it that the child is wrong? Is it that I need to recognize who I'm dealing with and maybe adjust how I'm dealing with that person so that I don't get so frustrated? Is it that you knew the child was hungry when you took him into the store? So, of course, they're going to be asking you for every single thing. Maybe grocery store visits are better done without the child in tote. Maybe when you ask your boyfriend to go shopping with you, you know he doesn't like to go shopping. So why is it that he has to go with you when you know he doesn't like going shopping? And then when he acts like he's miserable, don't be mad. You know he doesn't like going shopping. Is that something you have to do together? Or is that something that you could go do on your own while he does something that he likes to do on his own, and you come together and do the things together that you both enjoy doing together? We want what we want, right? And we expect that everybody else should respect what we want. But what about when that's not what I want? What about when it's not what my other child, significant other, whatever? What about when it's not what they want? Because they're a child, am I supposed to just say, oh, okay, well, I'm the mama, so do what I say? Some people live by that. Some people do. I don't live by that. I am the mama. Do what I say when I tell you to do what I say. But right now, what would you like to do? There are times when we should allow our children options, right? Is it spoiling your child because you allow them options? Is it spoiling your child because you bought them a hamster in the middle of a pandemic? Did I really buy the hamster for him, or did I buy the hamster for me? Did I get the dog for him, or did I get the dog for me? I don't think I got it for him. I know I didn't get the hamster for him. I did, but I didn't. We were told we were parenting wrong. We even had child services called on us. If you don't like the way we parent, then go away. Both kids may have been spanked 15 times added together. Right, Karen. Right. Right. Because you're not parenting your child the way someone else thinks is the right way to parent. Now, we are not talking about when you are destroying your child emotionally or physically. We're not talking about that in that sense. Yeah, no. No. No one should ever be telling you to beat your son. Who thinks they have the authority to be telling you that? Beatings are so outdated anyway. Maybe they just don't properly parent their kid and resort to violence too quickly. Learn to communicate and parent the kid the way the kid needs it. See, that's my child. That's my child. Good morning, Tobiah. Yeah, that's my baby. That's right. That's right. But I'm going to be beating her kids. Don't worry. I'm going to send them home messed up, so she'll be one to beat them, and then they're gonna come to Miss Moore's house and be saved. Yeah, because my grandbaby's gonna be calling me Miss Moore. Mrs. Moore. Grandmommy Mrs. Moore. We are so judgmental. We are so judgmental about what's going on in someone else's house. And we can't even control what's going on in our own damn house. I tell you what, when all of your children are perfect, then you come and tell me about how to parent my children. Maybe I might listen to a few little things. Now, this is not about the village keeping quiet when something's going wrong in the village. It's not about that. No, speak up. If I see Z hit Suli, I'm going to get on top of Z, right? If any one of you see Etienne be abusive or massively disrespectful to me, yeah, you guys get on him. It's the village, right? Get on him. Gammy. I have my grandbabies call me Gammy. They're going to be calling me Mrs. Grandmama Mrs. Moore. Grandmommy Mrs. Moore. That's what they're going to call me. The village should always step in, but the village should also stay in their lane. Recognize when stepping in is the appropriate thing to do. Don't just be stepping in because you don't like how I parent my child. Good morning. Good morning, Pam. Don't step in because you don't like the way Karen, I can't ever remember your husband's name, but because you don't like the way Karen and her husband parent Phoenix. You don't have to like it. It's not your child. It's not for you to like or not like. It's not for you to like or not like. If I don't make my children drink milk, don't come up trying to give my children milk talking about, no, they need to drink it. No. I do believe, Jasmine, hold on. I do believe some kids need a strong hand and limitations. Who is saying that? I don't see who said that. Some kids need whatever those kids need. But it's not for me to decide what your kid needs, right? You can't control it. Caleb calls my mom Mama, even though she wanted to be just Grandma. Wayne, thank you. Thank you, Karen. There's a difference between discipline and abuse. Right. But we discipline our children differently. We expect different things from our children. When I was growing up, there were friends of mine who had to say sir and ma'am. Yes, sir, no, ma'am. I didn't have to say sir and ma'am. Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. I don't have to say sir and ma'am. I didn't grow up having to say that. I may have had to say yes instead of yeah and no instead of nah, but I didn't have to say yes, sir, and yes, ma'am. I didn't raise my children saying yes, sir, and yes, ma'am. And I don't think it's lack of respect. Yeah, Tobiah, the problem is some people don't know the difference. Correct. And some people don't have patience. And people don't know your child. People don't know what your child is dealing with. As a parent, you can't come in with some predetermined route for your child, not if you're going to do it right. You can't come in and say, these are the things, these are the 50 rules that my child must follow. Every child must follow these exact 50 rules in this way. You can't be that parent if you want to call yourself a good parent, taking care of your kids and taking care of what they need. But I want to say that we learn so much from how we deal with kids, from learning to accept our children, from learning to accept other children for who they are and how they are. Imagine if when you were little, you weren't forced to hug and kiss somebody, right? I'm gonna go out on a long stretch. I'm gonna stretch it very far right now, just as an example, but I'm gonna stretch it very far. So if the kids were not taught that they had to always hug and kiss grandmama, even when they didn't feel like it, even when they didn't feel comfortable, that's what they had to do. Maybe if they were not taught that, they would have recognized that their body is their own and they only do with their body what they want to do with their body. And maybe those that take advantage of others would not have ever felt comfortable taking advantage of others, because they would have known from a very young age that each individual's body is their own body for them to do with what they want and not what you want. What you want doesn't matter. It matters what I want when you're dealing with me, not what you want. It matters what I want. And my family has always been yes, sir, and yes, ma'am. And that's okay, Tobias. So okay, and your family was always yes, sir, and yes, ma'am. So then what happens when I come in and I say yes? And in my world, that's just as respectful as yes, sir, or yes, ma'am. I was never required to put the sir or the ma'am. And right now I'm thinking maybe because, and I'm not talking about your family, but maybe because, that's what we used to have to call master. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. No, maybe that's why we didn't have the ma'am and the sir on top of that. Maybe. I don't know. People think a child's place is out the way and quiet. Goal is to make sure my boys are confident in themselves and their voice. Right, right. Body autonomy is such an important thing to learn. Phoenix says she grew up half feral with limitations. If that's what worked for you, if that's what worked for you guys, and I'm pretty sure Phoenix is a beautiful, well-adjusted, or growing into a very well-adjusted adult. Who's to tell you that how you were raising her was wrong? Maybe it didn't fit someone else's agenda, but if it was your agenda. We were yes, sir. And man, yeah, I know you were, Karen. I know. Because we used to get in trouble around Aunt Gloria if we didn't say yes, sir, and ma'am. But we weren't used to that. Like, what you talking about, sir and ma'am? But Karen, you know my mama. Anytime she was around Aunt Gloria, all of a sudden we had to say sir and ma'am. My grandmother, my mama would be biting off of how Aunt Gloria did. Sometimes that's why we were like, why Aunt Gloria coming? We got to act right around Aunt Gloria. We hugged and kissed grandma and stuff, but I also knew that no one had a right to my body. That's right, Chelsea. That's right. That's right. When we were younger, though, kids were expected. That's your family. Give your family a hug. No, you don't get to touch me. I don't have to touch you automatically. That's not what I have to do. But think about if we all just grew up expecting people to be who they are, allowing people to be who they are, and learning from how we manage different people differently. I am responsible for a dog and learning the dog's language, the dog's way. I'm learning to be a better person because I am learning how to adjust myself to the needs of the hamster, how to adjust myself to the needs of the dog, how to adjust myself to the needs of the boy, how to adjust myself to the needs of the older kids and the expectations that I should have of them and they should have of me at this age in their lives, at this stage in their lives. Imagine how much better we would be at dealing with everybody if we actually took the lessons from the littles that are in our lives. If we actually stepped back for a moment and watched the littles the little animals, the little people, whatever, watched the littles and recognized how we could change, for how I could deal with Chelsea according to Chelsea's needs, and Christian according to Christian's needs, and Etienne according to his needs, and the dog according to its needs, and Hamster according to its needs, and Z according to his needs, and Phoenix according to her needs, and Karen according to hers, and Tobiah. And we learn to adjust, and then adjust, and then adjust. And it's automatic. It's automatic then that we are perfectly comfortable in a diverse setting of people, because everybody has their separate needs. Excuse me. It is a very Southern thing. It is a very Southern thing, Tobiah. Also, a lot in my generation are doing that, but my experience, your generation gives us such a hard time. I got into it with a few people trying to force hugs or kisses on Caleb. You know what? Chasman, don't be putting that on my generation, because I'm a part of my generation, and I'll ignore your dang kid. Don't tell your kid to come give me a hug. Don't do that. And I know I'm not like everybody else, but for me, no. I remember when we were at the hospital, when my dad was in the hospital when I came to St. Louis, and you had Caleb, and you were like, say hi to Auntie. No. You could say hello from over there, but we don't need to talk. You come over here when you're comfortable. When you're comfortable being around Auntie Kai, you come on around Auntie Kai. But right now, sit over there and watch the interaction with Auntie Kai. It's just like a dog. And I'm not saying Caleb is like a dog, but it is just like a dog. You let the dog sit and observe and see, okay, is this person safe? We're forcing our kids on the other people, but we don't want to force our animals onto other people. So why are we forcing our kids? Let the child decide if that person is safe. Kudos to you. High five, Chasman. No, you let Caleb decide. Don't ever make my nephew come speak to me, come hug me, come speak to anybody, hug anybody, no matter what they say. She wanted to know how it felt to jump out of a car. What? Who is that? Phoenix? You sending Phoenix jumping out of cars? Did you push my baby out the car? Did you push the baby out the car? Talking about she wanted to know how I felt to jump, Karen. That's why you got CPS called on you. You knocking the poor baby out the car. Talking about see how it feels. That's abuse, sister. That's abuse. Susie says, I agree with that. Yeah, no, he has to greet when he walks in the room, but he doesn't have to interact. Yes. And he can greet from afar. Raising my godson taught me that often we don't listen to what we say to them. We as parents, we aren't clear in what we expect. Right. And we don't establish a consistent boundary sometimes. And this boy, I'm glad he's asleep, because I don't want him knowing that I know. That boy be checking me on a regular basis. Mom, you said yesterday, you said but now today it's how am I supposed to know the difference? Well, how is he supposed to know the difference? I was getting on him yesterday about how because he stayed up till 2:00 in the morning. And I was like, hey, when that dog wakes up in the morning, don't forget that's your dog. Fine, forget it then. He can be all of our dog because he doesn't want to get up with the dog when it's time for the dog to wake up. Because you stayed up till actually almost 3:00 in the morning. I said, sir, listen, son, this is the thing. When you decide to stay up late, you are deciding to stay up late knowing the responsibilities that you have in the morning. Your responsibilities in the morning don't change because you decided to stay up late. You are deciding to deal with the consequences, which means you may be extra tired. But you don't get to piss on everybody all day long because you're tired because you stayed up late. So we were talking about how he comes in on the tea time conversation and he's like, yeah, Mom, I can't ever tell. Like, you always tell me not to come in, but the way you say it seems like you're not really upset or anything. And I'm like, okay, because I ain't trying to kill you on live television. I know it's not live television. But we have to be consistent. Yes, he can greet and acknowledge people, but doesn't need to be physical in any way. I am learning not to make excuses for that, to honor his body by saying he will come around if he wants to. Right, right. Remember we had to talk about sorry, not sorry? Why are we always excusing everything? Like when I didn't want the landlord to feed the dog, I'm about to give a whole explanation about why I don't want her to feed my dog. Why not just say, don't feed my dog? And why is it that we would expect Z to do anything other than to say hello? Why would we expect Caleb to do anything other than say hello? Now, at a certain point, we may expect Z or Etienne to shake someone's hand, look them in the eye, greet them. At a certain point, we may expect that. But you hug who you want to hug. You don't hug everybody because of who they are to you in your life. No. They listen to everything you say. Yeah, even when you're not talking to them, these nosy little suckers. Yes, I did. She asked for weeks. I figured out how fast I needed to go. You knocked the poor baby out the car. I'm telling you, that's why CPS came. Okay, I'm going to read the rest. She asked for weeks. I figured out how fast I needed to go and where I needed to drive in the yard. So she asked one day, and I said yes. Drove around the yard 4 times. On the 5th time out, she went. You did. That's how you politely say I knocked her out of the car. Lord have mercy. And you wonder why CPS was called. You driving around you driving around your yard and shoved the baby out. Please tell me she was not 5. Yes, Suli, the eavesdropping is getting serious. Yeah, you know what? I'm in a very small house. The other day, I had to go sit in my car in order to have a private conversation because this house is so tiny. This house is so tiny. And I'm not necessarily always the quietest person, right? This boy can hear me from any part of that. If he's no, maybe not in the bathroom because there's the vent that kind of drowns out what's going on outside of the bathroom. But right now it's hard because they're in the house with us all day, every day. They're around us. Z is getting out a lot more than Etienne is getting out. So he ain't got no excuses. Just stay out your mama business, boy. Etienne is in the house with me all day, every day. He doesn't have any friends out here. So he's kind of thirsting for interaction. And he's always gotten along with adults better than he's gotten along with his age mates. He's always been a part of the conversation. In my household, he had older siblings that to him were like adults, right? And he sat at the table with everybody having in conversation. Now we would hush him because he was a little, baby saying little baby things. We would hush him. But now that we're in this pandemic and there's nothing and nowhere for him to go, yeah, he's in my conversation all day, every day. And I'm just ready to knock him out. She was 9. She was mad because I let her, but happy we allowed. Wait, how is she going to beg you to jump out the car and then be mad because you let her jump out the car? I'm telling you, that's why CPS came to your house, Karen. Don't tell too many people that story. Yes, and when she was 9, I just shoved her out of the car so she would know how it felt. Chelsea says she's going to be a stunt person when she's older. And it's so funny. There's a story of one of my high school classmates who said his mother asked him when he was younger, he asked his mother how he would know how hot the grease was. And his mother said, stick your finger in it. And that fool stuck his finger in the grease that was heating up, the oil that was heating up on the stove. Of course, he burned his finger. Hey, Karen, that actually sounds fun when done in a safe manner. Good morning, Bina. Oh, Lord, Jasmine, that's Auntie Karen. You may not know that, but that's Auntie Karen. Jasmine, don't go following her lead. Don't go shoving my nephews out the car, please. No, don't encourage her, Auntie Karen. They are curious and looking for a form of stimulus. They need to develop their communication skills. Yes, exactly, Tobias. So maybe we need to involve them more in conversation. I really have decided that I'm going to have a a book club for our tea time kids. Um, Actually, is a good godmom, Karen. Is she your godmother? Is Karen your godmother? Well, then don't be disrespecting her. Auntie or godmom. Don't be like Karen. You ain't her equal. Let's not forget the respect at the table. And even though she may be your godmother, uh, uh, Aunt Gloria was my godmother, but I still called her Aunt Gloria. So auntie or godmom, just give her her due respect, please, Jasmine. Thank you. Do it in levels, right? Right. They have to have conversations. They have to be a part of our kids learn so much from us. They learn so much from us. They learn so much from us. Kai, you don't remember us climbing out of the window onto the Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Of course I do. But our parents didn't send us climbing out on that window. Those were the fun times. I absolutely remember that. But our parents did not send us out of the window, Karen. We were threatened that if we did that, we would be in trouble. And we just did it anyway. Don't be so hard in who you are. And sometimes I'm talking about kids. I'm a parent, and every day I'm learning something about parenting. Every day. Every day. And every day I'm happy to be learning something about parenting. And although I don't parent my kids the way Darlene does, the way Suli does, the way Tobiah did and does, the way Karen does, I really am not shoving my kids out of cars. So, although, see the problem, Jasmine? Shut up, Karen. We not losing respect at the table. Jasmine gonna call you auntie or godmom. That's what Jasmine gonna do. No. Cut that out. She's not fine. Jasmine knows. Jasmine is one of the most respectful nieces. She knows. I'm sorry. Let me take that back. All of my nieces and nephews call me Auntie Kai. I mean Jasmine is not one of the most respectful from just my family. I just mean Jasmine is a very respectful person for showing generational respect. I don't mean in comparison to her other cousins. I just mean in comparison to her generation, those of her generation. And we love to maintain that respect. That respect that we continue to have towards our elders is the respect that our children learn to have towards us and towards their elders. So we want to maintain that level of respect. Anyway, you guys decide how you want to do. But Jasmine, I'm gonna want you to call her auntie or godmama. That's what I'm gonna want. And it's about me. It ain't about you. This isn't. I take the lessons that I learned from my kids, and I really do try to apply it to everybody, because learning from my kids is shaping me into a better person. Having the conversations is helping me to be the whole person that I want to be. People should stop with the baby talk. Talk straight with your children. Their brain absorbs 80% of all their ability to communicate between birth and 3 years old. Tobiah, let me praise you. Because all that goo goo gaga crap, what the hell is that? Don't talk to my child that way. Have a conversation with my baby. Now you can soften your voice a little bit if you want to. Hey there, little Susie. I don't have a little Susie. Hey there, Chelsea Welsie. How you feeling today? Oh, your feet in your way? Well, what are your feet in your way for? You gonna chew on your feet? That's fine. You can talk like that to the baby. But what do you think my little Chelsea Welsie or my little Etienne or my little Christian? Why I didn't ever have a cutesy nickname for him. He was Christian. In a good way. I always wanted him to be proud of his name, Christian. I didn't want him to be Chris, although he's Chris to some people now. What purpose does it serve for me to say, hey there, little what is that? What is that? We often let the kids talk about what they want to do, the pros and cons. Yes. And invite them to. I was telling my mom yesterday that Etienne is welcome at this tea time table. Grandmother would have never sent a child away from the table. Now, grandmother would have expected you to be quiet when it was appropriate for you to be quiet. But the tea time table was the family casual table. It was not the formal dining room table. It was the table in the kitchen. Yeah, Chelsea. I mean, yeah, Jasmine. He wouldn't have liked it. He wouldn't like it at all. He would have been 3 months old talking about what the hell is that, mama? He probably would have been like, qu'est-ce que tu dis? Qu'est-ce que tu as dit? Like, I hate baby talk. I would stop people in the heartbeat for talking to my kids in baby talk. Yes, thank you. It's an adult way to gain acceptance from the child. Right, right, right. But what is the child accepting? The child looking at you like, what in the world? What is that? I talk like that because I don't know how to use words, but why are you talking like that? But the point I want to make is that this is not just about talking to kids. This is about applying everything that you learn in life, that you experience in life, apply it across your life. How can knowing that a dog's natural inclination is to bite in order to learn bite inhibition? So I was looking at this thing. I don't think I explained this in full detail. So up until 6 months of age, the dog bites, nips. He shouldn't really be bearing down hard, but he nips in order to learn how much strength is acceptable and how much is not. What is not acceptable? How hard is it okay for me to put my mouth on this human? What is too hard and what is just soft enough? They are learning bite inhibition. They're learning to inhibit their own bite so that they're not hurting others, right? The only way for them to learn to inhibit their bite is to test bite. They're gonna put some pressure. You're gonna, let them know that hurts, and they're like, oh, okay, not that. This morning when I was doing with my dog, he was doing this with his teeth, like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's too hard. She keeps saying it hurts. And the way to work with your dog on that is to let them think that every time they touch you, it's too much pressure. Every little nibble is too much pressure. Even when it doesn't hurt, you act like it hurts so that every little touch is so much pressure. And they learn that humans are extremely sensitive. So I can't put my mouth on that human like this. And if you don't teach them that up until 6 months, if they don't learn it in the first 6 months, they cannot learn it beyond that. So after 6 months, their brains cannot learn bite inhibition. So how does that help me become a better person? How does that knowledge that in the first 6 months I have this window where I can teach them this skill that is absolutely important for this being a well-behaved and a trusted dog? How do I take advantage of these first 6 months? How does knowing this apply to any other aspect of my life? Unfortunately, it's the same thing predators do. A child needs to know the difference. Protecting your child is the best thing you can do. I wish I could teach my cats that. Yeah, I don't know about cats. I don't know about cats. I don't know if it's the same thing with cats. I'm a different dog parent today because I watched that video yesterday. And that video told me that what my dog is doing is a part of his growth and development and a requirement for him to be a warm and welcome addition to this family. The dog is teaching me patience. Exactly. Exactly. Exactly, Tabaya. That's what I'm saying. These conversations sometimes about my child, about your child, about parenting. Maybe if we stopped putting everything in its own little silo, in its own little area. And if you're not a parent, you can't talk to me about parenting. Yeah, you can. Because all a parent is an adult who is helping to shape one human, helping to shape another human. You don't have to be a parent to know human psychology. child psychology. You don't have to be, I don't have to be a dog to understand dogs. I have to study. I have to listen to others who have dogs. I have to be open to new pieces of information. I used to be telling Nugget up until today. So yesterday I would tell Nugget, no, stop biting me. That hurts. No, no, don't bite. Leave it. And now today I'm like, okay, go ahead and bite. Go ahead. I'm not snatching my hand away now because I've learned something new that I can apply with Nugget. I can apply with the boy. He's not biting me, but there's other things that he does. Dogs grow up faster than we think. Yeah, yeah. Same thing with your children. Right. Slow down. It's also teaching me, Tobiah, to take every opportunity, treat every opportunity, treat everything that is not comfortable for me as an opportunity to learn something or to teach something. I don't have to run from discomfort. That discomfort is necessary for growth. I need to know what is uncomfortable so that I learn how to appreciate what's comfortable. They need to learn, they need to know what hurts me so they can then only do what I like. So when I'm on here talking about kids and dogs, don't think, oh, that doesn't apply to me. She ain't talking to me. Yes, I am talking to you. And I'm trying to show you to stop thinking about your situation only in the way that it is your situation. I don't know how to better say that. Stop thinking about this situation only for this situation. Sometimes step out of that situation. Think about other things and how you can apply these other things to dealing with this situation. Biting is not okay. There are methods to stop him from biting you. No, you missed that part, Tobiah. Biting is okay. Biting is at puppy stage. During the first 6 months, biting is okay and biting is required. It is necessary part of their growth and development so that they can learn bite inhibition. He's not biting hard. He needs to learn what pressure is okay and what pressure is not okay. And eventually, so according to this behaviorist, and I'm telling you, so far, I like what he says. I'm actually going to follow him on YouTube because I like how he's teaching to understand the dog, to not apply what we know, understand, feel as humans, but to understand how the animal processes. What is the animal's way of learning? How does he learn his position in this pack, right? First you work on, according to this behaviorist, first you work on the pressure, how much pressure he's allowed to give, what is acceptable, what's not acceptable. And then you work on how often. And so by the time they're 6 months, they shouldn't be biting you at all. They shouldn't be putting their mouths on you at all. But if they ever do put their mouth on you, it's only playfully and they know not to apply pressure. I used to raise dogs and I would never let them bite me. That's okay, Tobiah. That's okay. Just like I'm not gonna say that how you did it was wrong or not wrong. What I'm saying is I appreciate the explanation of the dog's development needs. And I'm working with Nugget according to dog development needs. And I do think it's important for him to know how his mouth affects those around. And so he has learned he nips, and he's learning that putting his mouth on me is not okay and putting pressure on me is not okay. And it helps that now I can put my hand in his mouth. I can brush his teeth. He's not biting my hand as I'm brushing his teeth. I can put my hand in his mouth to get something out of his mouth. So when I put my hand in his mouth, because he's already been taught enough of understanding how much pressure is okay and how much pressure is not okay, he doesn't put pressure. He lets me go in his mouth and dig stuff out of there, all the way back down. I can dig stuff out of his mouth, and he doesn't try to bite my hand. So I understand what you're saying. I'm also respecting just the developmental need. But just as we parent differently, right? You probably raised well-mannered, well-behaved dogs, and you raised them the way that you felt was important for raising your dogs, right? And I'm going to raise Nugget the way that I feel it's important for me to raise Nugget. And that doesn't mean what you did is wrong, and that doesn't mean what I'm doing is wrong. It just means that we have different ways of parenting our animal children, right? Our animal babies. I'm the alpha male in my house. That's what dogs look for in the pack. You must be the pack. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And everything that I'm teaching him is teaching him that I'm the alpha. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not the alpha male. Picking your battles is key in parenting. I've learned to do that with others and I'm less stressed. Right, Karen, right. The kids want to dig a hole to build a small fire pit to cook lunch, so be it. We had the fire safety talk already. Have fun. Eat some fruit or a veggie with your lunch. Exactly, exactly, exactly. You make sure, okay, where are you going to dig that fire pit? What are you going to do to make sure that this area is safe? That there's no fire hazards right there? Are you going to clear out the area? Are you going to put bricks around it? Like, what are you going to do to your fire pit? How are you going to construct this fire pit? And then how are you going to be safe when you're around the fire pit? Rather than saying, no, don't do that. All right, well, let's look at that. How can we make this happen? How can we do this in a way that's safe? And then when you finish, make sure you get some vegetables, right? Absolutely, Karen. Absolutely. We don't have to be as hard on our kids as our parents were on us. And we don't have to expect. I can say to you, Karen, you might want to be careful about blah, 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 blah. But that doesn't mean I'm judging you. It just means that, hey, these are concerns that I would have. Be careful about these things. And the least that you should say is, okay, thanks, Kai. That's it. Whether you take my advice or not is irrelevant. The fact that I spoke up, that's because that's the village mentality. But before I speak up, I'm going to look at you and how you parent, and if this fits, your actions fit with your parenting style, and there's nobody that's being endangered, I'm not gonna say anything like, oh, that's cool. No, my kids can't come over. I don't want them building fire pits, but no, that's cool. Fortunately, I never had to spank my children, although I did scare the hell out of them. That is so fortunate. You know what? I think that had I been raised a different way, Tobiah, and I may not have ever had to spank my children, but I did spank my children. And then at a certain point, I stopped spanking my children because then I just kind of realized why are you spanking on Z? Why are you spanking on Z? Get off that boy. Quit spanking on that boy. Z is so perfect. That's a great way to explore their creativity and problem solving as well. Exactly. You better stop spanking on Z. That boy is perfect. Good morning, son.
Morning.
Would you like to say good morning to tea time?
No.
Why? You upset with me? What about what? You don't want to talk about it? We'll talk about it later.
We won't.
That boy, why you mad at me? I didn't do nothing to him. Anyway, we have to parent the way it best fits our kids. Suli, my children got spanked. My children got spanked. The older ones got spanked more than this younger one does. Maybe because my back is worse now, and I'm like, look. I remember being in California, like, Christian, can you spank your brother for me? Because I can't do it, but he needs to spank it. Somebody spank that boy. I agree. The only other advice I'm gonna give you, Suli, the only advice I'm gonna give you, because I I'm not against spanking. They do what works for your child. But the advice I'm gonna give you is something that somebody told me, which was very, very, very good advice. When I was pregnant with the oldest child, a young man, an older man came up to me who had adult children. Wait, some children are stubborn and it's hard to get through to them. Yeah. His mouth and explains and uses words I don't know. You can't get mad at him because he's more educated than you, girl. Don't be spanking that boy because he's smart. I don't know that word. Go get my belt. And before you spank him, sometimes maybe you look up the word, right? Like, well, hold on. What does that mean? What exactly is he saying to me? Okay, you good. You all right. You all right, boy. Boy, you better only use words I know because you're going to get hurt one of these days. The guy told me, every time you have to discipline, chastise, talk to your child, make them sit down. Have them sit down so that you're always above them. So as he gets older and taller, you're always still above him because he's sitting down and you're standing up. So if you think that Z is going to be taller than you, make a habit now that when you talk to him, hey, come sit down. And you stand up. Or you have him sit on the floor and you're on the couch. Like, always be above him. That alpha mentality, right? Yep, I always assume it means something bad. Tobias says Z has a larger vocabulary than most children. Phoenix wanted to do a sit-in protest in the 3rd grade. We talked about the pros and cons. We let her do it. I didn't interfere. We stood by her choice. Perfect. Exactly. That's good parenting, Karen. That's good parenting. She's standing up for something she believes in. Now, you know what the repercussions of your actions will be. And if you're, open to that, fine, do it. I'm there with you. Yeah, Z sounds like, I don't know Z well. I mean, but just from Good Morning, Susanna, but just from seeing and hearing of Z through Facebook and through these conversations, Z is one that you're going to need to tell him to have a seat, sit down. Let me explain something to you. And as he gets taller and you start seeing that when you're both sitting down, his head is coming closer to yours. Now you stand up, but he's still sitting down. With my oldest son, I used to sometimes go stand on. If I couldn't get him to a sitting position, I would go into the hallway and step up on the step and talk to him. Like, look, I said, because he's 6'4", right? He's taller than me. And this one's taller than me now at 13. Anyway, good morning, Susanna. Good morning. We are all out here doing our parenting thing. We're raising dogs. We're raising hamsters. We're raising cats and kids and pets and each other, ourselves and adults. I mean, we are all impacting everyone's life that we come into contact with. So yep, he already thinks I don't know anything. Like, I've been on this earth for 40 years. I know stuff. Girl, that's going to be forever. That's going to be forever. Okay, you don't ever know anything. Never, ever know anything. Trust me, because I'm like, look, I'm telling you, I know this. This boy tries to tell me, because he speaks fluent French, right? He tries to tell me some word. That's not how you say that word. I'm like, yes, it is, H. And this is not, you look, stop messing with me. No, Mom, I promise you, this is how you say it. No, I know this word. You think I know absolutely no French? I do. You see what happened to me with my son, Brandon. He's been looking down on me for years. I tell him I'll take his knees out, but not really would I ever do. Of course you wouldn't. Of course. I got to watch it. It went on for a week. She had 25 kids sitting with her in beautiful. Wait, what? Hold on. I think I missed the comment. You got to watch what? Oh, the sit-in. The sit-in. So here she was making a stance, and she got others involved in the whole, so look at you teaching her to be involved in her community. That's fantastic. And deal with the consequences. Sometimes they'll be negative and sometimes not, right? So I gotta go figure out what's going on with this boy, why he's mad at me. Maybe I'm not even gonna try to worry about figuring it out. You'll come around. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining in on the conversation. We are all figuring life out as we live it, right? If you are continuing to figure life out as you live it, then you are living. If you already think you have it figured out and you're not dead, you don't. You're disillusioned. And you're doing yourself and everyone else more harm than good. Let life shape you. In a way. Shape it, but let it shape you as well. You guys have a wonderful, glorious day. Take care of yourselves today. Get out, enjoy whatever sunshine you have. If you have some, I do have some here, so I'm going to get out and enjoy that. Do something active for yourself. Do something creative for yourself. Do something for yourself. Do something for yourself. Wash your hands, wear your mask, keep your distance. Know that the coronavirus numbers there's been a surge in numbers in the Midwest and on the West Coast. The other thing, I was talking to you guys about filling out your census. If you have not already filled it out, it's too late. They shut it down. There's no more census taken at this point. If you go onto my census, my 2020 census.gov, they won't accept it. If you haven't already submitted your census documentation, what was the sit in? Oh, Susan, Karen, can you answer Chelsea? She said, what was the sit-in about? Otherwise, everybody have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. Do you all day long. Do you. Be safe. I will see you here tomorrow. Yep, I will see you tomorrow. Wash your hands, wear your mask, keep your distance.